Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Final Two podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, a very patriotic episode, I must say. I think Ali can attest to it as well. Today, we have special guest Ben Freund, who is right now training to be a part of the Navy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Bam. First of all, you got to introduce yourself if you don't mind. Ben, where do you come from? Please let the viewers know what type of guest we have on today.
So my name is Ben Freund. I'm from Long Island, from Old Westbury. It's kind of like middle of Nassau County. I'm 22. I went to University of Michigan. My official major was biomolecular science, but that really means like mostly organic chemistry classes and all that. So at the University of Michigan, I also did a minor in sociology of health and medicine because I planned on going to medical school afterwards. But in light of all this COVID things going on, my MCAT date was canceled and I would have had to take 2 gap years before going to medical school. And that's something that I wasn't really interested in. I really wanted to jump right into it. And also after, 4 years of undergrad at University of Michigan, I was pretty burnt out. I really wasn't interested in taking classes even like more after that. And, going to the Navy is always something I've wanted to do, especially make a career out of it. So I think, the silver lining of this whole COVID pandemic is that I found something that I really, truly love that I want to do and that I'm, actually excited about my path going forward.
So your test got suspended because of COVID, or you couldn't take it because of it? Like, what were you saying there?
Yeah. So for the application cycle, all applications for medical schools have to be submitted by June, and my MCAT date was set to be in May. So I was going to apply contingent on my score. And when everything shut down, all the testing centers, Pearson testing centers in New York, they closed all their testing centers until further notice, canceled all the MCAT dates, and they said we're likely to open up late July, August. And I would have had to take 2 gap years instead of 1. I was planning on working at the Veterans Affairs Hospital at the Nassau University Medical Center, where I got my EMT certification. And I didn't really want to do that for 2 years, working with no pay, probably interning, and I worked at the VA in Michigan. I heard a lot of great stories from veterans who go there for health services. And like I said, it's always something that I've wanted to do. So when I, got the news that all the MCAT dates were canceled, I said, let's pivot and let's do something that, that I'm really, truly passionate about, and that something that, I can look forward to and, set goals and, achieve them.
Ben, what made you go to Michigan? Like, being from Long Island, brother, we have a lot of like options around, like Hofstra, the Stony Brooks. What made you go to Michigan?
It was a little bit of a combination of baseball and then the falling through of baseball for me, because we played together, and
yes,
I was getting a couple letters, and I was getting looks from a couple NESCAC schools. And I actually got a letter from Haverford College in South Jersey, or maybe it's in Pennsylvania. But and they said, if I applied their early decision, I would get accepted and have a spot on their team. And they're a good D3 school. Definitely, baseball would have been an integral part of my life and my social life there, and I was completely fine with that. But then during my fall ball season of my senior year, I popped my elbow, and I partially tore my UCL, and it was only a partial tear, so I didn't need Tommy John. I did an experimental procedure called PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma. Bartolo Colon did it. A couple other players did it. Basically, what they do is they take blood and they cycle it down to isolate the plasma and the platelets. And the platelets are what, have growth factors, and they help you heal. And then you inject it into a problem site, and it regrows the tendon, it regrows the muscle. So I did that all throughout the winter. And I came back my senior spring season, I put like 4 or 5 more miles per hour on my toss. And, like as a catcher, I was probably popping like a 2 flat to second. And it was like, it sucked for me because I didn't want to go to a JUCO and play
Yeah.
college ball. So I committed to Michigan. And I kind of set on going out for their varsity team, which is, a top 5 team in the nation. Obviously, that like wasn't going to work out, but their club team at Michigan is pretty much a Division III baseball team. We get a lot of kids from the varsity team who are on academic probation or couldn't keep up with the practice schedule. So I played club ball.
How is club
for a bit.
ball? Can you explain to
Oh,
the
it's
viewers how club ball works?
demanding, more demanding than you'd think.
Really?
We travel all over the country.
Wow.
And, it came to that point where I had a stats test on Thursday, and on Tuesday we were like traveling to Indiana to play one game. And I was like, I'm just not coming on this road trip because I have a stats test. And they were like, okay, then don't come to practice on Monday.
So do they pay for your hoteling and stuff, or how does club baseball work?
Yeah, I mean, we have it's not an official university sport. It's a club sport, so there's no coaches. It's, captains led. And most of the expenses come out of your own pocket. We do get busing. It obviously, it's like with travel ball, you pay a price and you get jerseys and you get, hotels when you go on road trips and tournaments and stuff like that. So it was just the combination of the time commitment and the traveling and, the fact that I was there to get good grades and go to medical school and not to play club baseball.
Wow. I mean, Ben, how, like you said before, it was a conflicting schedule. I mean, they would even tell you, like you just said, they wouldn't expect you to come to practice if you missed it. So how were you able to manage, a difficult school in the nursing program that is at Michigan with this club baseball?
That's just the thing. I wasn't able to manage it. And that's why I had to separate from the team. Because in the end, I, looked at the priorities and what was most important to me. And what was most important to me was the academics. Because my ultimate goal was to go to medical school and be a medical professional. And, cycling back to the military aspect of it, I always knew that I wanted to do some form of military medicine. I was going to apply to USU, which is the Uniformed Services University. And that's a military medical school, and they fund your medical school, and then you owe them years after that. So with my EMT certification, I'm still planning on, doing medical rescue. That's my ultimate goal, is to get placed into a medical rescue team as the officer and be in charge of medical rescue and, doing the medical side of that. But in the end, I was a freshman thinking about what was most important to me, and, getting a 95 on my stats test instead of an 80. I think that was.
And I think that's such a crucial message that you send.
That
because
is.
I feel like that applies to any athlete, no matter what sport you play or what major you're in. Because people, like I've witnessed it myself with certain athletes, just going for the bare minimum. I'll settle for a C or a B.
Yeah.
You go above and beyond, you know what I mean? Especially in your program in nursing, like where you have to excel in order to get those higher, placement jobs. I mean, you hit it on the nail, and you hit it on the head. Like, people have to, be very, focused on what they're doing besides the sport itself, especially if you're not doing well in the sport and you're just miserable. I mean, you have to still fall back on a plan B no matter what, regardless of what it is.
One thing I want to add to that too, Sal, is very true what you're saying. And it's like, that's the hardest part of being Hispanic. When you're going to college, it's like, wait, he's telling everybody going to university. You know what I mean? He's going to university. But no one tells me it's get good grades, like get higher than an 80. But I'm going to college thinking, especially my freshman, sophomore year, I'm over here going, yeah, I got a C+, a B-. Yeah, like my parents are celebrating it because we don't know any better. That's the problem with breaking through that college boundary, being the first to break through that boundary. Because now when my sister is going to elementary school, I'm over here going, if you don't get 100, you don't get Robux. You know what I mean? So she's over here trying to do her best to get 100, because if she doesn't get 100, she won't get rewarded. But if she comes home with a 90, that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? That's not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
But And it's like one of those things, you hit it on the head right there, Ben, because it's so important to get good grades. Like,
Exactly.
it's like there's no excuse not to. So
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's that, like I just said before, people going for the bare minimum. It's all about trying, putting in the most effort that you possibly can in studying, retaining information, going out and asking questions to the professor, rather than just sitting back, playing your sport and failing. Because not only does it look bad on your GPA, but it makes the team bad, because a lot of programs, they specifically look at the team's GPA at the end of the season each time, and it's very important.
Super important.
I think a big example of that, just staying with the Michigan, is that Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson wasn't. I mean, what a player! He's absolutely locked down from three, but at the end of his Michigan career, he was shopping jobs. Like, he was texting people for media marketing positions, and he was looking for a professional outlet, because he didn't see himself getting drafted. And obviously, he got a D League or a G League contract, and got his shot right, and is absolutely wet. And now he made an appearance in the NBA Finals.
He's a star. He's a star. And literally came from the bottom. Now we're here. Seriously.
Look at his LinkedIn profile.
Literally.
Looked at his LinkedIn. He was very prepared not to be a professional basketball player. And when you come to that crossroads, he was like, all right, now I have to kickstart my professional career, because this is not the avenue that I thought it was going to be. But it turned out that it was.
You know, was another crazy example, and I'm glad you brought up Duncan Robinson. Another basketball player, he was a college basketball player, Luke May, played for North Carolina. He hit a buzzer beater. This was when De'Aaron Fox was on Kentucky. Hit the buzzer beater, knocked him out. And next day, literally the next morning, I remember it was trending on Twitter, Instagram. He was at his finance class. I couldn't believe it. It was 7 a.m. It was a 7 a.m. course. And it just shows you that no matter how hard you're playing in the sport, how much you're practicing, you have to have a little bit of focus on business, because after sports, we always bring up players like LeBron James, Alex Rodriguez, the late great Kobe Bryant. They took on roles in business afterwards. No matter, it doesn't have to be business, but an occupation afterwards, because after your sport, where else are you going to get your income from besides endorsements and et cetera? So
you don't want to be Kurt Schillings. You want to be LeBron James, who's got such a diverse portfolio.
Mm-hmm. So important.
So important to be in the business world, especially. I mean, I just feel like a lot of schools, I feel like they don't, especially when you're an athlete, they don't really let you know that type of information. And I feel like it makes it very hard, because kids just go there to play a sport. They don't go there to go to school. You know what I mean? You hear that all the time, and that really affects a lot of people. So, I mean, what made you get into medicine, Ben? What was the number one thing that got you into medicine? Because medicine's a hard thing, brother.
I know. I think I've always been a very scientifically minded person. Like I said, I studied biomolecular science, which is pretty much just upper level organic chemistry. I taught organic chemistry at the University of Michigan for 3 years. I have always been the person to ask questions. Yeah, I was a study group facilitator, which means I basically taught underclassmen organic chemistry 1, organic chemistry 2.
So did you fail kids? Did you fail kids?
No, but sometimes kids would ask me to I used to tell my kids the only stupid question is the question you didn't try and figure out for yourself first before asking it. Because on an exam, I'm not going to be here to say, oh yeah, what does this molecule do, and what are these how does it interact with these reactants? You know what I mean? So I was definitely harsher on my kids than I think a lot of other
on my kids as a student. On my kids, on my kids. This is nutty. This is crazy to me. Oh my god, keep going. Sorry, I'm fanning over here.
But you know what I mean? I don't sugarcoat things. I'll tell you this is a question that they're going to ask you, and here's how they're going to ask it to you. Learn the ins, the outs, learn everything you need to know, so that when you get to a test, you can look at a question and think and actually know what's going on. And that doesn't happen. But it's not even memorizing. Yes. It's more learning the concept and then using the memorization to apply that information.
Which is very true. Listen, I'm probably the dumbest one out of you two, and that's not really something. That's not saying like a bad thing because you guys are both brilliant. But for me, I started realizing what really got me to the next level, to that like A minus, was like practicing and putting into real life situations, because memorizing for me wasn't working. I'm like, yo, like this thing doesn't work for me
either.
This isn't what's gonna work for me. This is adding it to a real life situation. If it's math, if it's finance, if it's like social studies, whatever it is, like adding it to real life situations, really what's gonna get you to the next level when you take a test. You know what I mean? So I feel like, bro. So wait, so were you like a tutor then to a group of guys, to a group of people, or how did?
No, I pretty much taught a class of like 12 to 15 for 3 years.
But did you get paid for that?
Yeah, I got paid.
Oh, you did get
like,
paid. Okay.
Minimum wage. I got paid $11 an hour.
Sheesh.
So the test, were you the one grading it?
No.
Oh, okay. So okay.
But I did grade a lot of their classwork. But it wasn't like grading for a grade. It was grading them to be like circling, think about, lithium aluminum hydride and its role as a reduction agent. Like,
can we backtrack real quick? You said so many big words in this podcast that sometimes get me like confused. When you get into medicine,
what was that story you were telling me, Ali, about that? So as you know, like Oliver, he has the heart condition that he's been going through. But you told me that Ali, you went over his house. Tell me that story.
So me and Ben are friends for years. So when Ben went to college, like we kind of lost connection a little bit, but we've always like some way we would connect. So we started connecting, especially over the summer. We became really good. He's like, hey, come over one day. So I go over his house, and his family's like really big into medicine, and he'll tell you guys about that too. So I walk in and we're talking, whatever, and I see his father. His father's a very nice man. And Ben goes, hey, Oliver has a heart condition, this and the third. And he's like, oh, really? What's going on? I explained to him what was going on. And him and Ben, swear to you, are going, yeah. Oh, you know what that is? The heart reticular 1.53 that goes to the heart. That's probably what's disconnecting with this. And I'm over here going, yeah, exactly what's going on. The guy's like, and Ben goes, no, I think it's the bitubia 59326 that runs through the back of the heart. And I'm like, yep, I don't know what that is.
About which electrical nodes in your heart were not firing on check. It was the sinoatrial node or the atrioventricular node. And that's the difference between, what the blood fuel, your heart filling with blood and your heart expelling all the blood out of your heart. And it's the different hemispheres of the heart are separated by basically, the atrioventricular septum, which separates the electrical currents. So
can we zoom into Sal's face?
I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot of information to retain.
We were just spitballing,
spitballing. I'm just over here just
that sounded like a lecture right there just after. That sounded amazing. Like that sounded like a lot of terminology that I need to know.
Like we used to have family dinners. Like I remember one time we were having a family dinner, and my little brother, he's like a genius, and we were talking about the possibility of fissionable material and its use as a renewable. We were basically talking about like nuclear thermodynamics, and my friend, there was like a break in the conversation, and my friend looks over at us and he goes, "Do you guys ever just eat?" And and I was like, "No, this is a conversation at our house, bro."
Yeah, like, bro, you are so. That's why I love hanging out with Ben, because you know what? I learned so much from him, and he learned shit from me. So it's like a win-win for Ali. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here learning with the reticular.
I learned how to speak Dominican Spanish from you, bro.
I learned what the testicular 59326 is, but you know what I mean? It says this is really good stuff here. So wait, can you please tell the viewers here why, like, your parents are in the medical field? How did that impact you to get into the medical field, or did it not really at all?
I mean, no, it definitely did. Both my parents are doctors. My mother's an OBGYN and my father's a surgeon. And when I was a little kid, I was extremely hyperactive. I got hurt all the time. I was like maybe like nine months old the first time I got stitches. And it didn't stop after that.
Oh my God.
And I was always in that situation where I was in the doctor's office, and I was always in a situation where I was, subject to the medical field. And being big into sports and being big into sports medicine, I always wanted to be an orthopedist. And my ultimate goal was to, work at HSS, which is a hospital for special surgery in New York City, and, work with athletes and do Tommy John surgery or ACL tears or, some of the more soft tissue stuff to orthopedics, as opposed to like broken bones and all that. So that would have been my ultimate goal. I think it's something that a lot of people want to do. It's a very competitive field nowadays. And, on one hand, I would love to do, emergency medicine and trauma surgery. But that's not a sustainable lifestyle. You can't be a trauma surgeon for your entire life, because that's, you get a call at 2:30 in the morning and says a guy, was shot in the face. Like, we need you in surgery for the next 16 hours. Like, that's not a sustainable lifestyle. My father was a trauma surgeon. He was the chief of trauma at Bellevue Hospital in the 1990s.
Wow.
And, it's tough. It's a tough life to be in. So I think my ultimate goal is to do something more normal.
But you want to go into the wait, hold up. Before I even get into, I keep forgetting to ask you this question. So Sal, I have this story. So we're playing baseball. There's actually a video on this. Ben's the catcher. It's like a relay throw, like a kid hits a bomb. I'm the shortstop. I think I'm the cutoff man. I throw it home to Ben.
I have that video. I'll send it to you.
It's literally, I put it literally in the video. Like, we'll edit it in there. Oh, I tried to at least. And so it's a shot, bomb. So I go out, there's a cutoff man, boom, get it, throw a dime piece to home.
Absolute strike to home.
Strike to home. Strike to home, right? Boom. So Ben's waiting for the guy, tags him out. Ben's thumb just literally, like, I don't know if it broke in half or dislocated.
Yeah, no. It was at a 90-degree angle. It was pointed this way.
Broken half. Everybody's going crazy. Oh my God, like, go to the hospital, whatever.
Pick was going to vomit.
And his mom's like, don't worry about it. What are you guys worried about? And everybody's like, what do you mean we're worried about? His thumb is out of his. Mom's like, she walks over there, looks at it, goes, all right, come on, let's go. And like,
no, she hopped onto the field and she says, okay, we have two situations here. Situation number one is it's dislocated. And when you dislocate something and you relocate it, it pops clean back into the joint. So she says, if it pops clean back in, it's dislocated and you're probably good to play. If it's broken and I set the bone, it's going to slide, it's going to like grind, it's going to slide back into place. And then you can't play because your thumb is hanging off your hand. And so she's on the field, and like the way I was handling the situation, like I was just like, all right, like get this over with. Like we got a game to play. It's the sixth inning. Like the number one thing that was in my mind was that I was leading off the next inning. So I was like, I'm trying to get my at bat. Like I'm trying to.
No, like your thumb's not just hanging. Like I'm trying to bat.
I was like, tape that bitch, and I will hit with the thumb hanging off. Like I'm a catcher. Like I like to hit. Like I was batting third in the order or whatever. I was trying to get my licks in, and she set the bone and it grinded back into place, and it was more or less straight. But she was like, yeah, it's broken. Sorry, bro, you're not hitting next inning.
Yeah, normal situation at all.
I was pretty chill about it. I was like,
didn't scream. Oh, he's walking in there like, yo, like, are you seeing this? And I'm like, I guess I'm seeing
guys, like my thumb's broken. I was like,
oh my God, crazy. Oh
my God.
But I got 2 pins. I went into surgery the next day. I got 2 pins in my thumb. I did 6 weeks of rehab, and I came back and I'm lucky that happened early in the season, because I came back like probably late July, and I played with you guys for like the rest of the summer. I think we had that.
You missed a bit though.
I missed a bit. I missed that week-long tournament in that was like the big recruiting tournament. That was the one that I was trying to get at.
Man, wait. So who did the surgery? Was it your family did the surgery, or
No, we don't have any orthopedists. It's actually my good friend Dr. Peter Stein. He's a hand surgeon. I've gone to him for like everything. He's a good guy.
So wait, talk about friends. How big is the networking for you, being that you come from a family of medicine? Is it easy to get to know these people? Is it easy to get recommendation? Is it easy to get a job in the future because of all these connections that you have?
I would say that there are connections, but that being said, I am not the kind of person to call in favors. Like, I sort of took the approach of going into medicine as like, this is my personal journey. I don't
Yep.
want this to be on the coattails of the success of my parents.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I did was not as a result of the friends and family discount. But that being said, when you have, you know, a broken bone, you're not searching for a doctor. Your family knows somebody who does that. So they say, oh, go to Dr. Stein. You know, I did my residency with him. He's a great doctor. So I go to Dr. Stein and Dr. Stein takes care of me. So, you know, the friends and family connections, they work in some ways, but I took a personal, part of my journey and part of my goals were to make it on my own, and to make my own path for myself.
My question is, Ben, how like you say so simple and like so humbly, but a lot of people don't look at it like that. You know what I mean? A lot of people look at it as like, yeah, like I come from this. I don't really need to work as hard. I don't need to do this. Where did you get this grind from that? I don't, congratulations to my parents. I love them, but I'm gonna make my own path. I want to create my own destiny. I don't want to use them for like anything. I want to create my own success. Where did that mindset come from? Because I'm telling you, a lot of people don't look at it like that. And you can agree with me. A lot of people like the little handout.
100%.
Oh, yeah, my son got an 80. He could get through. He could be a doctor with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially like in my area, like on the North Shore of Long Island, you get a lot of kids who just fall complacent into the, the rounds of, my dad's in finance, like I'm going to get a job at JP Morgan, whatever.
Yes.
But I think a lot of it has to do with the way I was raised. I was raised not to act in that way. I was raised that, hard work is the most important thing no matter what. And that whatever it is that you choose to do, you give it 100%, and you don't take shit from anybody, and you put your nose down and the grindstone, and you just put the work in, and with a little bit of luck you'll be successful. Like, I think a lot of it was how I was raised, and a lot of it is just the way that I am. And
yeah, your upbringing is amazing, brother, because a lot of people don't think like that. Like I do have friends that have the handouts. I've played with kids that do have the handout, and it's like, man, like you are so different from that, because here you are still trying to chase these goals and these dreams. And that's why I consider you such a good friend, because I learned so much from you because of that. It's like you're not okay. You're blessed to be at the position you at, but you're going to use that to excel even higher, and use that almost like to catapult you to a new step that has nothing to do with your family, has nothing to do with the past success. You want to create your own stepping stool. So it's amazing.
And I think that's a big reason is why I'm going military. Not just to be in the military. Like, there's a difference between the enlisted and the officer side. The officer side, you do it as a career. You do it because you really want to, and maybe not because you have to. Like, people go into the officers program because it's something that they feel extremely passionate about, because they have an overwhelming sense of duty and, commitment to this country. And because they are the kind of people who want to go out there and challenge themselves and be leaders on a global scale, and be, something that was unexpected of them before. And I think that, in turn is another reason, something just about me intrinsically that is something I've always wanted to do. And it's been in my mind forever. Like, I've always mentioned going into the military, and not only that, but being an officer and being, in charge of groups of people, working towards a common goal of, securing liberty and freedom and democracy, and, around the world.
So you bring that up too. And again, you are training to be part of the Navy. So was there a certain, event, a book, or a person that truly inspired you to join this, this cause? I mean, what inspired you? Like you said, like you grew up, idolizing it, but was there something that like struck your mind? Like, I want to be a part of that.
Go.
Like I said, it's always something I've wanted to do. I feel like if you're going to go the officer side, you have to have some, deep, like burning desire to be an officer. But one event that definitely solidified it in my mind was going to visit the Intrepid Museum in New York City. And the Intrepid Museum is pretty much a retired aircraft carrier with all these cool planes.
I've heard about it.
It's honestly sick.
We gotta go. We should go.
It's massive. Like, it's a floating building, and the Intrepid is a fraction of the size of the aircraft carriers of today. And the aircraft carriers today, they have 5,000 personnel working on them. They are enormous, and they're the crown jewel of the U.S. military. And the U.S. military, or the U.S. Navy, is the most powerful and ubiquitous force on earth. Like, the U.S. Navy can provide air support to any battlefield in the world. They can provide surface to air defense, surface to air attack. They, their primary purpose right now in a time of peace is to protect international shipping routes and pretty much to provide, air support and air defense to a lot of other nations across the world. And I think that going to the Intrepid and seeing how big it is and seeing, all of the technological advancements that we've as people have been able to make, it's stuck in my mind. I was like, wow, I have to drive this. Like, I have to work on this thing in the future.
I mean, that's incredible that like you had that vision and, it became that long-term goal for you. I mean, it became a dream. And now it's like that dream is becoming a reality as like you're starting now you're in your pre-basic training, as you mentioned prior to this meeting. I mean, so you're striving to be, a future candidate officer Freund. So talk to me. How's this training been like? Have you began, and where's the process been going?
So I started at the beginning of quarantine. Obviously, I didn't have a job and there wasn't much to do, so I did a lot of working out. I got physically right, pretty much undid all of the studying until 2 a.m. and partying that I, got into in college. And I got physically in shape, and then I got a job at a local boutique butcher shop. Great job, by the way.
I get Snapchats every day. Every day I get a Snapchat from
awesome.
Ben.
I love it. Center Cuts Roslyn, guys, go. And while I was working there, I was working like 10, 12-hour days, 6 days a week. And it was like tough. I worked there for 2.5 months. And like from there, my physicality, it kind of went down. So once I got officially accepted into officer candidate school to be a surface warfare officer, I got my date and I said, okay, I've got a 9-week fitness journey. Let's track our fitness. Let's put miles in. Let's set a goal. My goal by the time I leave is to do a 25-mile week, which is 5 miles a day, 5 days a week. So far, I've been able to get up to about a 12-mile week, which is like, 3-mile, 4-mile runs, 3 to 4 days a week. At first, it was a little bit tough because I don't like running on the treadmill. I feel like I'm really not going anywhere. So I like to run on the street. I like to run on the street. And when you run on the street, it's a lot of high impact. So I was getting shin splints, and I had to wait for those shin splints to heal. But now, like, whenever I run, I really don't feel it as much because the scar tissue is built up a little bit, and I've gained a little bit more of that muscle strength in my shins and my calves. So it's a lot more body weight stuff. It's a lot more cardio. It's a lot of high intensity interval training. It's a lot of CrossFit.
Love it.
Like I honestly, at the beginning of quarantine, I was doing a lot more powerlifting. I was just telling Ollie this. Like, I was doing a lot more, 5 for 5 at 225 on the bench. But now I'm doing like sets, 5 sets of 30 reps at 135, 5 sets of 30 reps at 155. Because if I have to do 200 push-ups a day in basic training, then, lifting, pushing 225 for 5 reps it's not the helpful kind of muscle that I need. I need lean muscle. I need fast muscle. I don't need big, bulky, slow muscle. So.
Wow.
So what's your view on what I'm looking for? those jack guys, those juice heads. Like, what is your view on that? Like, is that healthy since you're in the medical field? Is that something that people want to really dive into, or is that something that could get really dangerous?
I mean, to each their own. I'm not going to say that someone who wants to be the world, join the world's strongest man competition. I'm not going to say that that's a bad idea. I will say that if you want to get, super big, super fast, and you're planning on juicing, like that's probably the worst thing you could ever do.
Yeah.
Because steroids is horrible for your body and it's bad for your heart. Like you get like really bad heart conditions from that. But also that being said, like I have a good friend who's a big physique guy. He eats, he's all vegan. He eats 100% natural. He eats 100% vegan, 100% local. He works out. He does a lot of cardio. He does a lot of yoga. And I think, if you balance working out with diet and you balance just a healthy lifestyle, getting sleep, stretching, doing yoga and all that.
Yeah.
It's just better for your overall wellness. Like it's better for your mental, it's better for your physical health.
How important is sleep?
No, I absolutely agree with that, especially like during the pandemic where, you couldn't even work out anywhere. Everywhere was closed. So I wasn't the type that was like, I got to build my own gym at home. I didn't have the money at the time. And on top of it, I don't know, I just wasn't motivated to like really have my way to do that. So rather than focusing on what I couldn't do, I focused on what I can do. And that was changing my eating style. So I told Ali at the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm still maintaining it now. Would you say your dad was who's going vegan at the time? Somebody went vegan.
Oh, me? I think it was a friend. A lot of my friends were going vegan.
So I was saying like, I kind of went into like the Beyond Meat aspect, eating a lot more greens, but and sometimes I'll still maintain like, like 1 day a month or 2 days a month. Like I'll have like, chicken or whatever, like, to keep my sanity because you can't just eat Beyond. How do you feel about that, by the way? Like Beyond Meat, like a lot of people are saying it's like.
Not a fan. I do not like the meats.
I invested in.
I worked at a butcher shop and we as human beings like are omnivores by, definition. We have molars and we have incisors and we have canines to eat both meat and vegetables. I think that if you're going to go all vegan, you need to supplement. You need to supplement your diet with protein, but not only protein, you also need to supplement your diet with essential vitamins like, iron. Like you get, we get a lot of our iron from red meat. And I'm a big red meat guy. Like I could eat steak every single night of the week.
I fucking love steak. I love it. I'm sorry for the F-bomb. Oh my God. Sorry for that.
I'm not going to lie though. I'm not going to lie. Switching to Beyond, like eating majority of meals or whatever, Beyond Meat, Beyond Meat products, Gardein, etc. Like it wasn't like my body was like when you're like off of something that like your body can't recess, like you can't like, adjust to it anymore. It's like, I haven't had steak in a while. I'm not going to say that I don't like steak, but it didn't feel like, it's almost like alcoholics when they stop drinking. It's like they go through that cycle where it's like their body can't like, adjust, function. So, but I ask you about the Beyond Meat just because one, I mean, I don't think it's terrible for you. I'm not going to say it's perfectly good for you. Like if I'm just constantly eating Beyond Meat, I don't think that's healthy because one, you're putting in a lot of those, like whatever makes up Beyond Meat. Again, it's not, it's not meat, it's plant-based material, oils, etc. But I ask you that because, people that do go vegan, I'll agree with you. Like I was, short on some vitamins. So I had to start taking like the gummies and all that to, add that to that cycle that I was eating. But I will say I lost a lot of weight on it. Like if you're looking, I'm serious. Like I watched this documentary on Netflix. It was called What the Health. I mean, the people that they showed on that show, on that documentary, people with diabetes, health problems, people with like the pills that they have to take throughout each day of the week. People stop that cycle immediately when they kind of went towards that vegan lifestyle. I'm not saying completely go vegan. And for me, like, I won't say I'm completely vegan. I'll say like I said, like, a few days of the month, I'll
be cheated.
I'll cheat. I have to, you know what I mean? Like I'm telling Ali, like, Shit, I feel like I'm starving myself. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just eating the Beyond Meat and all that fiber, it goes right through you. So like as you're working out, it's like I'm like so low on energy. So sometimes I'll have to, add in some vitamins, etc. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't think it's terrible if you decide
it's
that.
definitely not terrible. I think, like you said, a lot of people do find that with vegan diets, they feel, healthier and they lose weight. But a lot of the times, like, especially for men, a lot of the protein supplements that you would eat if you were vegan are like soy-based proteins.
Yeah.
A lot of big reason why I don't consume protein powder is because whey protein is horrible for your body.
I agree.
Is it really? I'm taking whey
Whey
protein right
protein
now.
is horrible for your body.
Yes.
Pea protein is not well digested by your body.
Damn.
And soy protein as a male is just not good for you because soy, for obvious reasons, has, minute amounts of estrogen. And if what your overall goal is to build, male muscle, then you don't want to be dosing yourself, however small the dose, with estrogen. So I think, a lot of it is just balancing your diet and not trying to like supplement. Like the guys who bulk up and they're like, 320 pounds of just straight muscle, like for them, whey protein is fine because their goal is to just build beef on their body. You know what I mean? Like, but I think if you are trying to go, obviously I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just a guy who tries to live a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely.
I think that if you're really trying to, go vegan, you have to be mindful of your vitamins, and you have to be mindful of your fiber and your iron and your protein and where your protein is coming from and what kind of protein it is.
Man,
Like
how important is sleep? Like
it's the most important.
Why?
You charge your phone every night, don't you?
Elaborate, please. Why is sleep so important? How do you expect
your phone to work if you don't charge it?
My God, what an analogy. So how many hours of sleep should a normal person have? Us. How many hours of sleep?
I think that largely a lot depends on the person. Like if you're the kind of person who can operate on 3 hours of sleep, then like by all means, like do whatever you got to do. But at the same time, if you're the kind of person who sleeps like 12 hours a day, like you need to probably figure something out and change something else about your life so you can cut that down. I usually go to sleep around 1 a.m. and I wake up at around 8. So I'm like a good 7 hour.
That's exactly my time.
Yeah, like I'm a good 7 hours. Also, I feel like if you are sleeping more than you should be, you're probably wasting time in the day when you could be doing something else. Like I've always found that when I wake up at 8 a.m., like I could do a ton of things and look at the clock and be like, oh shit, it's 12. Like I have a whole day to do things. Whereas you wake up at 11:45 and you're like, now I could have woken up at 8 and got in, a 4-mile run, a quick lift, could have made myself eggs, could have made a couple calls, scheduled a meeting, gone on a podcast.
Wow.
No, it's true, especially in your daily routines. Like people have to have, set times, remind themselves all the time, because like you said, like you're wasting time of the day if you're just going to oversleep. And on top of it, like, I feel like too, like you should have a set amount of time to sleep, unless of course you're studying for an exam, of course, day prior. We're not condoning that, but we're just saying like any other average human being that does that, they're going to lose sleep doing that. But it's rather best to, have that set time, like 7 to 8 hours. Usually it's 8 hours, they say, but 7 hours is fine. I mean, like for you, I don't know about you guys. I can't drink coffee, bro. Like that just.
Yes, that was going to be my next one. Yep.
Dude, that just, and you know why we bring these questions up? We're going to connect to it later on through this conversation is, how this is going to apply to you now as you adjust to a new routine, being a part of the Navy, God willingly. So like now going back to that question to you guys, like, do you guys can you guys function in the day without coffee? I mean, for me, I feel like if I work out early in the morning, I have that energy to continue on with classes and everything. How do you guys function?
Personally, before Ben asks, because I am kind of a medicine guy as well. I would say that I've been drinking lately chai tea to kind of get myself going, because like I'm not a caffeine guy. I don't drink coffee at all, but I did need something. Like Poppy needed something. You know what I mean? Like, sorry for saying that, but like, that's what people call me sometimes.
Poppy needed a pick me up.
I needed a pick me up because like, it was like, especially with the studying, especially with a lot of things going on, I needed kind of a little boost. So I started drinking chai tea from Starbucks, ice, for $35, I think it's cost, a grande.
You paid $4.35 for tea?
Hey,
Damn.
for tea, big
Bro.
boy. Hey, listen, grande, don't judge me, thank you. And it gets me going. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I drank it before the pod. You know what I mean? Like, it gets me going. It gets me focused. And I personally like it now. I think that's what I kind of needed, and it's helped me a lot. What do you think, Ben?
I'm a big coffee guy. I need caffeine like as soon as I wake up. I got into a big routine in college where I had, early morning class. I had 8 a.m., 8:30 class. So I would wake up. I had that big jug of Starbucks cold brew. Pour myself a cup of cold brew.
How much is that? How much is cold brew?
That's expensive.
That's
expensive.
It's like $14 for a gallon.
Damn. A gallon.
You spent $14 at Starbucks? Oh.
It usually lasts me about 5 days. So whatever 14 divided by 5 is about, 2.75. So I got paid $2.75 for a full cup of cold brew.
Keep going.
I'm just saying, like, compared to $4.25 for tea.
Bro, honestly, whatever it took for me to get going, because I didn't drink coffee. And then I started realizing in college, my junior year, when I started taking school serious and I started putting time into like studying and working out and balancing everything out, I needed something to wake me up. And I feel like tea really did that for me. So, I mean, if I might try the new thing that you're doing, that might help me out too. I've never tried it. I've never really tried coffee. So
I don't know. Cold brew's pretty strong stuff, especially with the heart condition. I don't know if taking nitro cold brew as soon as you wake up is a good idea.
I have no heart condition.
See Ollie at like 9:30 in the morning. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Anytime I have coffee, like a venti, what do I get? Like sometimes I'll do that pumpkin spice latte, or I'll do
a chai tea, bro. Chai tea latte.
I might do tea. I'm not gonna lie. Herbal tea would be freaking great. But like I said, like I don't know, my stomach just one, it makes me like energetic, too energetic. You know what I mean? When you're sitting still and you're just moving, like I can't function like that.
You get used to it. You get used to it.
Yeah. So
you do, right? And but your body needs it like a drug. Like your body starts like asking for it. Am I wrong now?
I mean, if I miss a coffee in the morning, like at 3:00, I'll start to get like a little bit of a headache.
Oh.
It's a caffeine headache.
Oh.
And it's the worst part about it is that like on days where I intermittent fast, like I usually try and intermittent fast like 1 day a week. Like that's when I really feel it, because I won't have coffee in the morning. I'll just drink water like the entire day, and then I'll break the fast at like 4:00, and I'll break the fast at 4, and I'll have an early dinner, and then I'll have a late dinner at like 7, 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I usually go to sleep at 1. So it's not like I'm eating right before I go to sleep, because you shouldn't eat right before you go to sleep. But
you shouldn't?
On days where shouldn't.
You shouldn't. Why not? With bread?
Because when you go to sleep, your organs shut down, and if you eat right before you go to sleep, you're pretty much just taking in calories and you're not processing them. So they're just sitting there.
I had 3 Hawaiian rolls last night.
Yo, me too, with ham. Yo, I had
Hawaiian
like,
rolls are money though.
Bro, I had like 7 of them with ham and cheese. I swear to you.
Yo, the Hawaiian rolls are so freaking.
I literally had a
beautiful.
Hawaiian roll.
Hawaiian sweet rolls. Oh my god.
I had Hawaiian rolls.
I had 3 or 4, bro.
Hawaiian rolls with pulled pork.
Yes.
Like you're getting too crazy on me there. Ham and cheese for me, and I'm perfectly fine. I had like 7 of them yesterday, right before bed. And I fell asleep like a baby.
So we learned not to have too many Hawaiian rolls.
Wait, so what does that do? Is that bad for your stomach?
Yeah.
No, it's just not good for your overall health. Like
it's
those calories are going. Yeah, it's just sitting there. Those calories are going straight to visceral fat.
Wow, and I'm trying to lose weight. Wow,
it makes a lot of sense, especially like if people like that start gaining it in that gut area too, like rather throughout everywhere. That's just the food sitting there. That's crazy. You know what's it's interesting that we bring up, the sleeping, what keeps you functioning throughout the day, eating styles, meals, etc. Now you're going to, like I said, are you prepared to adjust to that new routine as you enter the field in the Navy? Because as you know, like when you go out there, I don't know if are you going to be going out of the country if you join? Like, what did they tell you the location would be after the training?
Well, yeah. So just to sort of summarize what the training is like, for surface warfare officer, the officer candidate school is located in Newport, Rhode Island. So I have 3 months of pretty much hardcore physical training, and 3 months of academics. It's pretty much like one semester of basic training. That's officer candidate school, OCS. That's pretty much basic training for officers. That's in Newport. And then based on my rank in the class, I get selected for jobs and I can preference my location. So based on what job I get, that'll determine what kind of secondary and tertiary and finishing, training I'll get. And training in total is going to be about a year. So beyond the 3 months of basic training OCS, I have probably another 6 to 9 months of, specialized training where I get, put into a job and that becomes extremely focused and I get a very focused education. So, that's sort of how the training goes. The secondary training that usually happens stateside. And then, based on what job I get and how, what my rank in my class is, I can preference a location to be stationed. I think I'm going to try and be stationed somewhere on the West Coast or in the Pacific, like San Diego, Hawaii, Japan. Like those are my three.
You're going to leave me?
Yeah, in a second.
I at least have somewhere to visit, because if you go to Japan, you better get Hawaii. Oh my God. I'll come to Hawaii. Woo!
You have to learn to surf first.
Yo, it'll be like the first Dominican Hawaii. It'll be like the man on the moon. Yo, I can't. Yo, how important is ranking though? The rankings are what
very
make
important.
Decisions,
very
right?
important, because places like San Diego, which are the most highly sought after location to be, because you are stateside. You're in a great location. San Diego's weather is unbeaten. There's a big base there. There's a lot to do. There's a rich social life in San Diego.
Wow.
When I was talking to my recruiter, my lieutenant commander, he's in charge of officer recruiting. He was telling me that in San Diego, while you're on the base, you could join, a rec softball league. You could join a flag football league. You can do all these things that you wouldn't be able to do if you were stationed like in Japan, because Japan just doesn't have or may not have the same opportunity.
It's a third world country, yeah.
Japan is a third world country?
Sorry, I didn't mean third world country. Another country. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Japan is the most developed.
Sorry. Yeah, another country. I'm sorry. I used the wrong vocabulary. I'm sorry. I was thinking. What's the country I was thinking about? What's the country I was thinking about? That we were talking about on FaceTime the other day. That's a third world country that you could be stationed in.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Okay, that's why.
Saudi Arabia is not really a third world country either. It's just that Saudi Arabia is definitely one of those places that I would not want to be placed, because you're in the middle of the desert. Your primary job is to hunt pirates, which is like cool.
Hunt pirates? What do you mean pirates?
Like pirates in the Persian Gulf, like people like Somali pirates.
That's scary.
That's what I said. One of the primary jobs of the U.S. Navy right now is protecting international shipping routes, because you see a ship that says U.S. Navy on it, and you're a pirate in a skiff trying to, steal a ship with, $1 billion in goods on it, and you see a giant warship coming straight at you with the words U.S. Navy on it. Like, you're not messing with that boat.
Oh my God.
Whoa. That's some crazy stuff. So wait. So you'll be gone. So that means like after the 3 years, then you'll be gone and stationed for how many years?
So like I said, training is 1 year.
1 year.
And then I get a placement, and my placement is pretty much a deployment, and deployment is a 2 year deployment. 2 years. So I'll be on a base somewhere for 2 years.
2 years.
And then I get a break after the first 3 years, because that's 1 year training, 2 years deployment. After those first 3 years are done, I have a little bit of a break. I have leave, and then Then I have another 3 years of deployment after that. So it's a 6-year total. But it's 6 years that I'm willing to spend because this is something I want to do. This is something I've always wanted to do, especially if you're an officer. The reason why it's a little bit longer is because a lot of these people, including myself, do this as a career. They do this as a stepping stone into a higher career in politics, in medicine. My goal is to, after my initial service commitment, after the first 6 years, to go to medical school, get my MD, and then re-enlist in the Navy, gain a couple more ranks, and be, like a flight surgeon, or work on, the bases in Japan, in San Diego, in Hawaii, and, maybe if I'm lucky enough, work on an aircraft carrier, which is something I've always wanted to do. And, use my medicine as an officer, to benefit not only the U.S. Navy, but also, personnel across the world.
I would 100% say that you have your head on right, because the way you're thinking so much ahead. Everything, like, you're not sitting here going like, okay, like, I'll wait 2 years to take my exam and call it a day. Like, you're over here trying new things out, and you're over here you're going to explore the world. Like, this career is going to make you explore the whole world. And I feel like that's so smart of you, because in 7 years, you'll be back. And then now you could say, I did everything I possibly could to enjoy because there's a saying that I really love. And it's like your 20s is a decade that defines you. So I feel like you are really making the best out of your 20s. Like, Sal, can you think where we'll be in 7 years? Like, we don't even know. We don't know. Because look at COVID. A lot of people thought they would know what they would be in a year from now, but COVID kind of ruined that. You know what I'm saying?
The thing is, and it really taught me a lot, especially this year, as much as what's going on in society, what's going on right now in current events, the people that stick out the most right now are the people that are ambitious and have the goals still set, no matter what is currently going on. Even if we're locked down, we started this podcast. We didn't have to, but this is for us to network and meet new people across the world. Another thing is especially going for your career. I mean, still applying for jobs, even through Zoom, et cetera, to be able to interview them online. I mean, like you said, although the tests did get canceled not only for, what was it, the MCAT, not only for MCATs, it happened for CPA exams, certain exams across, the whole spectrum of occupations that people are trying to, get those high earning, high level jobs. So, but it doesn't stop, can't stop, won't stop, like Diddy says, for a reason, because, you got to continue to push yourself, because we're going to get out of this. We're not going to be closed-minded and say, where we're headed is just continuing to go down. I know there's some point in the future that we're going to get this vaccine and we're going to get out of this mess, and it's going to take a slow time, but nevertheless, you want to have a plan as you exit out of this, no matter what. So you shouldn't be, like I said, like giving up. Absolutely not. I mean, you said it yourself. The 20s is the years that define you. For kids that are getting out of college, you want to have a set plan when you're in college, so it's not difficult after you graduate, even if you go for your master's. You know what I mean? So,
and it's like, another thing is also, it's like, make the best out of this, because if you can make the best out of a situation like this, you're not telling me that after everything goes back to normal, you're not going to double that. Because if you can make the best out of this right now, my freshmen that are listening to this, the freshmen that went to college, I am so sorry you had to go through this, but this is probably the worst scenario you'll probably see yourself within the next 4 years. You know what I mean? If everything goes the right way, if nothing flips over and gets worse. But I don't think what's worse that could really happen, get into a war, God forbid. Like, that's really the worst that could really happen. But besides that, it's like, it's like, I feel like it could only get better from here. So if you made the best out of this, like what Ben's doing, what Sal and I did, create a podcast, taking extra classes, not even having a summer, studying the whole time. Absolutely. It's going to get us better,
Exactly. And we're not here to be selfish. We're not here to say that, we're just successful. We're successful because of what we did. All we're trying to do is trying to create a message for you, the viewers, to kind of take from what we're talking about. I'm not going to lie. I know there's families that are heavily being affected by this pandemic. People that are still, they're starving for that another paycheck and all that. They can't even get a job of what's currently going on. And again, I'm with you. I'm not going to say that this isn't terrible, what's going on, but you still got to dig deep and,
Yep.
make the most of what you have. Go out and apply for new things, go out for different opportunities. And for Ben, he talked about, although the MCATs got pushed, he's still fighting and pushing to still train in the Navy, even during this pre-basic training, because he's not going to stop. And during that time, are you currently still studying for the MCATs as well? Since it's being
No, I'm not. I spent about 4 months studying for the MCAT because I graduated a semester early,
which is understandable. Yes. Uh-huh.
So, but I think what you guys are saying is exactly right. Like, you can be a victim of circumstance in this life, but you can never have a victim mentality. You can,
Absolutely.
you can.
Ooh, Ben, that's deep. That's a good one, Ben.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you can be put in a shitty situation from birth. You can find yourself in a shitty situation as a result of things that have happened to you in this life. But obviously, I had the privilege to, pivot and say, all right, like, let's look at something I've always wanted to do. Let's pursue the highest goal that I can think of right now. And the highest goal I can think of is be an officer in the US Navy. Like, you have to learn to say, instead of poor me, you say, what can I do now? Like,
what can I do?
Like, what can I do?
Yes.
At this current moment to take me to the next level?
Yes.
What can I do right now to better the situation that I'm currently in? And if the answer is nothing, then I think you need to reevaluate. And like I said, pivot again. But it takes a lot of self-reflection. It's really difficult to do because a lot of it, you have to, think about what your strengths are and think about what opportunities are given to you. However,
Yes.
if they're few or if they're many, you need to evaluate that and turn fewer opportunities into more opportunities just by the way that you act and just by the way you carry yourself and just by the way that you approach life in general.
Yes. Amen. Oh my God. Amen. That's amazing. That's literally what life is all about, man. Like, I was born in Dominican Republic. My dad was barely, like, he had to stop giving me a certain milk because it was too expensive. So I was getting milk borrowed from the neighbor. And here I am in the United States of America getting a second opportunity and making the best out of this opportunity. So I'm not going to sit here and victimize myself. I did this. No, I got another opportunity. COVID, we created a podcast. We did this. We went out there and did it. I have a heart condition, and I had another heart attack about 5 weeks ago. That doesn't even matter. But I'm alive now. What am I supposed to do? Cry about it? No. I'm here talking to Ben, talking to Sal, creating this opportunity that I hope our 10, 30, 100 viewers that listen to us, 200, 1,000 views, I don't care, get something out of it. You know what I mean? So that's exactly. You hit it on the head, bro. I like that quote. I'm going to write that quote down. That was deep, man. That was deep. Ben, before we
I got you.
Ben, before we let you go, I have one question especially. You talked about your upbringing, but was there any books that you read, anything you did to get you ahead of the game to be so smart and intellectual like myself?
I think younger.
Why are you laughing, Sal? Why are you laughing? Sal?
Because I was like, I didn't read books. I was like, I don't know how to read.
Yeah, Sal, don't laugh. It was supposed to be like a serious moment right there.
No, I mean, like, when I was younger, it's not like I read a lot of military books. I read a lot of action adventure books. But I did read. I think one book that I've read recently was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Dave Goggins is an absolute fucking madman. Sorry about the F-bomb again, but that dude is an absolute psychopath of just personal achievement and pushing yourself beyond your perceived limits and being one of those people who comes from, a horrible situation. He came from an abusive father. He had no money as a kid. They moved around all the time. He faced racism as a kid in every single corner growing up in Indiana. And he was overweight. He was extremely depressed. He had a lot of self-loathing. He said himself, like, I need to change my current situation. And he said, the one way I can do this is to shoot for one of the highest, most physically demanding courses in the U.S. military, which is, BUDS, which is basic underwater demolitions and SEAL training.
Jesus.
and he dropped from 300 pounds to 175 pounds in 3 months, dropped 125 pounds. Joined Buds in his third cycle of Buds. He went through 3 hell weeks. He graduated, and he became an ultra marathon runner. And he runs for the Wounded Warrior Project. He does a lot of charity. He does a lot of motivational speaking now. But just his messages of self accountability, of personal accountability, of being in charge of your own destiny, and not only that, but pushing beyond your own perceived limits. Like when I started my cardio training, I could barely run a mile, and I said to myself, he has a part in his book where he's running this ultra marathon, and he's losing steam at like mile 75 or mile 60, and he's got another 40 miles to go. He's got another 2 full marathons to go. And he runs 101 miles in 24 hours in his first ultra marathon with no training. And he said, that was a moment to me where I proved to myself that I can do something beyond my perceived limits, beyond what I think I can even do. That's when I proved to myself that I'm a savage. Like he really,
yes, you are, my boy.
He's just, the whole book is about personal accountability. It's about, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you've been. You have the opportunity to push yourself both physically and mentally and academically and professionally to be, a Navy SEAL, and to be not only just, a physical specimen, but also like up here, you need to have a calloused mind. You need to not be able to let little trivial bumps in the road, put you off your path to success. Because if you really come at it like a steamroller, when I was starting my cardio, if you get shin splints, you run through the shin splints. Like I was literally running with my knees taped up to the ankle so that I could get my 4 miles in, and not, I was icing my legs for 2 hours a day. Like he counts in the book, running to the point where he was in renal failure and he was pissing blood and he was peeling his toenails off, and every single bones, and like he broke every bone in his foot running and continued to race another 50 miles. He got shin splints to the point where he couldn't move his knees. Like just being able to push yourself. Like obviously I'm not saying like go out and get yourself hurt. Like that's just stupid. But just push yourself beyond, like if you're at
break yourself,
break yourself and push yourself beyond the point where you think you can stop, just to prove to yourself that you can, that where your brain starts telling you that I can't do anymore is only 60% of what you're actually capable of.
Yes.
You have another 40% in the tank. That's your body's natural way of saying, like, that 40% is like do or die reserve. Like that 40% is for, the absolute worst possible scenario. But obviously, you're not in a do or die scenario. So you still have 40% in the tank to continue on and to continue pushing yourself. So I think that in my personal fitness journey, going into the military and prepping myself for OCS, which is a bit more physically demanding in terms of push-ups, sit-ups, running, than it would be for enlisted basic training. I think that book has really helped me in focusing my mindset as being, an absolute savage when it comes to trying to push myself and to try and push myself beyond my perceived limits. And, when your heart is racing and you feel like you're going to vomit, like that's when you know that you're actually doing the work that you should be. Because I was doing CrossFit last week, and halfway through the workout, I sprinted out of the room, went to the bathroom, vomited, splashed some water on my face, gargled a little bit of water, went back in, finished the workout.
Yeah. That's why I love CrossFit so much. For anyone that's thinking about doing CrossFit, or like if you want to get mentally pushed, physically pushed, if you want to test yourself to the limits, 100% go do it, because that's going to push you to your limits. And there's times in the workouts where I'm like, I'm not good enough. And
I was like, I can't do this.
Yes, I can't do this. And me myself would say, yo, you could do this, my boy. You were built for this. You were built for this.
Yes, sir.
You were built for this. And when you're done with the workout, everybody high fives themselves and you feel accomplished. You're like, I tackled on the day today, but I beat the day. The day didn't beat me. So, oh my
it's
God.
Win the day. Like
Win
life
the
can't
day.
hurt you if you're headstrong and you're strong in here and you get your physicality right. Like number one thing he says in the book is calloused mind, is letting, the little bumps in the road in life, not letting them affect you and just powering through them, and knowing that in the end, you're the own agent of your destiny and you create your own
That's
path.
it.
And
Absolutely.
life is what you make it. And especially for someone like David Goggins, who had such a troubling background, now he, is a motivational speaker around the world. He does ultra marathons and ultra triathlons for, millions of dollars in charity. And he's just doing, amazing things for the world. And, he could have sat in a situation where he was an exterminator at 300 pounds, pounding, a chocolate shake at 3 a.m. Like he could have just lived in that complacent lifestyle and been miserable and fallen into complacency. But he didn't.
Yes.
And he, picked himself up and he said, I'm going to do what I got to do.
The last thing I would say is, Sal and I always say this to each other, to anyone that listens to us, whatever. It's like, no matter what, like the fact that we're thinking about this now at 20 years old, there is no way we're not going to be successful. There is no way. How long is it going to take? Who knows? But we're going to work to get that. We will be successful. We will. Like, that's just the number one thing, because if you realize we're having these conversations now, kids who are working towards that now at 20 years old, we're taking the right steps forward. The decade that defines us, our 20s, we are effing it up. We're killing it. We're 20 years old and we're killing it. Like, are you serious? Are you serious?
Keep the ball rolling, though. We're still young.
Yes.
I'm 22.
Yes.
I'm 22. I still got 8 years in my 20s to define who I am. My service commitment's going to be 6 years. So I'm going to come out 28 years old. Like, you got time.
You got
Average
time.
life expectancy is going up. 20s,
Absolutely.
And
that's the mentality our viewers should definitely have. Anybody taking the time to watch this, have that mentality that you will strive for greatness no matter what scenario you're put into, global pandemic, illness, injury, pain, etc. Fight through it and you will be successful no matter what, as long as you keep on being focused on your goals and not letting that go away. And this was an incredible guest that we had in Ben, and you're listening to, God willingly, a future Navy officer. And I say that proudly. Amen.
A Navy officer, but a successful ass man. Like, this man's gonna be successful. You know what I mean? Intellectual people like me and Ben, we are.
Now we're going there. Huh? This is an awesome episode.
Amazing.
Thank you guys for having me. I've been asking Ali to get me on the show forever. I love what you guys do. I love the message you spread. Ali's been my boy for a while, and I love to support the cause. I love to help my boy out and spread some good vibes in the world, and just keep energy high.
Absolutely.
And let people know that no matter what they come from, like exactly what Sal said, stay focused, stay up. Ask yourself, what can I do and how do I do it? And and be the agent of your own destiny. Create your luck. Create your luck.
He's just dropping gems, ladies and gentlemen. What an episode. This has been the Final Two podcast. Peace.
Peace.